Shalom, one and all. Greetings in the name of our Messiah, Christ Jesus. You're watching the Cutting Edge Rumble Talks, unfiltered conversations, bringing back the guys from the Sabbath at Midnight podcast, Lionel and his dad, Dominic. Tonight, guys, I want to tell you guys, if your kids are in the room right now, I'm giving you a disclaimer. The things we're going to be talking about tonight is adult level. And we're going to be talking from a biblical perspective, but it is a hard topic of Hollyweird and pornography and the addiction that follows it and the devastation. So Lionel and Dominic from the Sabbath at Midnight have returned to the cutting edge on this topic, heavy researched and testimonies. Welcome back to the show, guys.
Thank you for having us on. I really appreciate it. It's a blessing.
Well, it is a blessing. If people are not astute to it, most of you guys who are watching the cutting edge and most of the platforms that you see are pretty awake to the fact that Hollywood is all about Luciferian. It's all about satanic ritual. It's about controlling the masses and how they do it. Pornography, on the other hand, is a whole nother level of sin that, whether directly or indirectly, affects us all. And we better be on our games, or we're going to be in a lot of trouble. So, guys, I'm looking forward to this topic and speaking with you on this. And Lionel, I'm going to let you take it away right from the beginning.
Wow, thank you. I'm a little nervous, guys, but I got to do God's work. So, the whole thing about pornography, first of all, I'm speaking for myself, but I'm just throwing it out there. Most men, I would say, at some point in their life, have had an encounter with pornography. And I would say it's mostly a problem with men, but I would say nowadays in the new generation, a lot of women are getting involved. And now it's so accessible to children. So I think a lot of people don't really see how much of an effect it has on the psyche of someone I think it affects the relationship. It could affect someone's relationship. It could affect a man, how he sees a woman. Stuff like that, and vice versa, how a woman sees a guy. You're conditioning your mind to just have different, tastes and, different women all the time. You're always looking for something different. So with that being said, I would like to start in the beginning. In the beginning, God's intent was always good before the fall in the garden. And I like to start there because I think everything starts from there, because in the beginning, it was always God's intent for everything to be good. Everything was made to be good, right? And then we had this alien invasion by Lucifer and the fallen angels. I'm going to just call them that because that's what they are to me, invaders. And what happened? The Lucifer came to Eve, the serpent, and offered her the fruit. And before I get into this, there's a theory going out there that I don't believe, that supposedly Lucifer has sex with Eve. I don't believe that. I think it's a bunch of nonsense. So I just want to put that out there. But with that being said, Eve took the fruit, she ate it, and what happened? God came, and he didn't say, where Eve, where are you at? He said, where's Adam at, right? Because Adam was the one in control, right? He was the one that was supposed to keep everything in line. And then what happened? Adam pretty much blamed the woman. So you have the first feminist, right? The first feminist, when Eve was like, well, I was just doing, what I was told, blah, blah, blah. So everything from there, after that happened, there was the fall of man. Everything that was meant to be good got perverted. And I always call Satan the great perverter, because he perverts everything that is good, right? So from there, you had this whole, everything changed. God even had to sacrifice animals to cover up Adam and Eve. So then you have the first things that are happening that are no longer what God intended to be. So you fast forward through all that, and then you get to the garden. You get to Sodom and Gomorrah. And in Sodom and Gomorrah, you have these two angels that walk in, and in the Bible it says, every man, woman, and the children wanted to go have relations with these two angels, right? So you got to understand how perverted it was and how bad it was back then. We're talking about the men, the women, and the children, right? And then what did Lot do to get them away? He offered his 2 virgin daughters. And what did the people say at the door? No, we don't want them. We want the 2 angels. Mm-hmm. This is how I want you guys to get like the mindset of how it was back then, because we're not even there yet today. The perversion that was going on. So they went there. Lot offered his 2 daughters. They said, no, we want the 2 angels, and on the story goes, right? So you have all these different points in the timeline where pornography was already happening, whether that's paintings on the walls or hieroglyphs, all the way up into the 1800s to little newspaper articles. It's been around since the beginning of time. Mm-hmm. So with that being said, you fast forward to today, you have so many things that have just fast forward, like little increments. For example, I always like to say, when I was growing up, it was really hard for me to look at stuff like that. I would have to be 18 or older to even buy a magazine, right? And I don't know if you guys remember, at the gas stations or the liquor store, you would see the magazine in the back that wasn't in the front, but you can kind of see what's going on, but had the little thing over it, and you'd have to be 18 years old to buy it. And then you have the video stores, Blockbuster, Video Depot. You have the red curtains. You know you're not allowed to go back there, but you have that feeling like, I'm going to get in trouble if I go back there. At least I was as a kid. So you had all these rules and these morals in place, at least, these half morals back then. It shouldn't be there at all, but we had at least moral standards in place where you could at least have a certain age to look at this. And today, anyone who knows how to work a phone how old are kids now? 5, 6 years old using a phone? If they know how to do it, they can just go pull up pornography whenever they want. So I think today what's happening now, it's just this whole thing, like, for example, in the garden, God wanted the intent of a family. And one of the things that I think that this is doing is just showing the family unit. Mm-hmm. And it's causing perversion, and it's no longer a man and a woman. It's men and men, woman and woman, or God knows what, So, I'll let you have any questions? I think I'm talking too much.
No, what you're saying makes completely sense. This is an ancient issue that each and every human being has to deal with, one way, fashion, or form, whether it's unclean or the clean version, which can be made unclean out of marriage, out of wedlock, out of the covenant that God set forth at the beginning. And what we see today, and you're absolutely right, Lionel, with these black scrying mirrors we carry around, calling them phones, and they're not a phone, guys. They're tracking devices with phone apps on them. It's easy for our kids and easy for those who are addicted to pornography to pull it up within seconds, not even seconds. So you go from what took place before the flood, and the fallen angels learning to cut roots and causing abortions and all kinds of sexual gratuitous things. It gets wiped out with the flood, and then it reemerges. And then we read about it in Sodom and Gomorrah, and they're wanting to take the angels. Here's the thing. Satan will push our buttons, and this is one of those buttons that he's used Hollywood, the pedophile system there. He's used our technology, and man, we are at a precipice right now, and I couldn't agree with you more on this topic.
No, yes. So thank you. Just wanted to get some feedback a little bit. Like I said, this is my first time being on the camera, so I'm a little nervous, but God's gonna.
My friend,
God's gonna
I'm
lead
nervous
the way.
every time I come on. Every time I come on.
So with that being said, I just want to put a picture out there how it was before the flood and a little after the flood, that to this day, the things you read in the Bible, Sodom and Gomorrah, the perversion where it was just a normal thing to have the men, women, and the children, hey, go try to have sex with those 2 grown men. It was normal. And I don't know if you read the book of Jasher and the book of Jubilees, they had rape beds in Sodom and Gomorrah. There was rape beds, all this sick stuff. There was a curfew. If you were out too long, they can just rape you and do whatever they want with you. This was normal law. And we're not even there yet. Like, for example, I was talking to you earlier, John, and telling you how Tel Aviv is the largest homosexual destination on the earth. That's God's land. And God hasn't judged it yet. I'm telling you, we're not even there yet. And there's so much more that's going to happen before the judgment comes.
I remember, and Dominic, chime in if you remember this as well. Lionel, you'll probably remember this back in Bill Clinton's day.
Oh, yeah.
We began to see a sort of leniency towards the transgender, the homosexual, the sodomites of the public. And then you fast forward, we go through the terroristic 9/11 stuff, and then we get to Obama, and we see a more relaxing take the federal government has on these issues. And we also see the prevalence of Pornhub and all these pornography sites becoming very free to the public.
Oh, yeah.
Very open.
Well, let's talk a little bit about that, all that stuff. So let's, some people could say, I know people that say, porn is just, it's just a mind of a man. Every man is, wants to, perv out on a woman. It's just a guy made that up. No, it's not how it is. I don't know if you guys know, I'm talking to the audience. I know you guys know who Aleister Crowley is. Aleister Crowley is a big influence in Hollywood. If those of you who don't know who Aleister Crowley is, he is the biggest influence on modern Satanism today. People like, what's the Playboy guy's name? Hugh Hefner.
Yeah.
He was a disciple of Aleister Crowley. The guy from Hustler magazine, I forgot his name. He was a disciple of Aleister Crowley. All these people were disciples of Aleister Crowley. And Aleister Crowley, a little bit of background on him, besides him being the most modern influence on Satanism, he was a very bad person. As a matter of fact, Italy called him the most wicked man in the world, and they kicked him out of Italy because he was molesting so many kids. And why didn't he go to jail? I have no idea why, but you can look that up. This guy practiced pedophilia, homosexuality, bestiality, and if I'm correct, I remember reading he ate his own fecal matter. So this is the person that influenced most of Hollywood. I mean, this guy influenced the Beatles. I mean, there's so many rock stars and rappers. Jay-Z, he wears a shirt, do what thou wilt. Do what thou wilt is the first law of Satanism. Do what thou wilt basically means do what you want as long as it makes you happy. It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. So you have this satanic influence in Hollywood that you can look up yourself. This is not a conspiracy. That's influencing the movies, pornography, everything. So, that's that's a lot. You know what I mean? Right there. That's a big red flag.
Huge. So you said Italy, which brings me back. John and David on the Midnight Ride did a show called Los Angeles, the City of the Fallen Angels, the Hidden Mystery. I don't know if you guys saw that, or probably you did in passing, but he brought out something I didn't know. Los Angeles has a sister city in Italy called Corsicula. I think it's Corsicula. Okay. And in the video, he brings out the fact that it's called the Queen of Heaven. And when you look at this place, it almost looks like where the Hollywood sign is. It looks dead up like it over in Italy. And he brought out, if you want to go ahead.
Isn't that where Nero kind of ruled before? Right? Yeah. I remember reading about this. Hollywood it's like an exact replica of that place you're talking about. Yeah, I did hear about that. And they used to do rituals on that little lake right there.
Right. Yeah. And it was to Diana or Isis. And I thought, talk about ancient evil just bring into modern times. He also brought up the guy who founded it. I think his name is H.J. Whitley, and his real estate mogul who brought in pornography, who brought in drugs, And I didn't know this until that I watched that show. That California at one time
Which one?
was in part of the United States. It tried to like remain communist in a way.
Oh yeah. Really quick, I want to just butt in really quick. People that don't know, everything that John is saying is 100% true, but also the whole thing behind this, it goes even deeper to the Druids. The Hollywood is named after the holly tree. The Druids used to make their wands, their magic wands, out of the holly tree. And, that's what Hollywood is. Hollywood. That's exactly what this comes from.
Yeah.
So I want people to know that. Like the magic wands are not just made up. It comes from the Druids. Hollywood is literally named after the holly tree. Hollywood. Mm-hmm. You make your wands, the Druids.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Hollywood, and I think all the like calligrapher and those people back then wanted to be famous, wanted to be stars, like movie stars today. They had to go there. The sacrifice, the pedophilia took place to Isis or Diana, and then all of a sudden they became a star of antiquity.
Yes, they would name them after
just
the stars.
like they try to do nowadays.
So yeah, they would name them after. They would name these people back then after the stars in heaven. And they did some kind of ritual where it was on the lake, where the lake would reflect the star, and they would sacrifice himself under the lake, and whatever reflection the star was the supposed to be the name that they were going to be. But now today they do it with the Hollywood Walk of Fame. If you do enough bad stuff, you get a little star.
Exactly.
On the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Just really quick, I'd rather not be known down here and have my name up in the book of heaven than have any star down here. But that's just me.
What's crazy is this is nothing new. You brought up Genesis. You brought up Sodom and Gomorrah. Paul was dealing with it in the book of Acts. I think it was chapter 19 when he was dealing with these crazies in Ephesus.
Are you talking about when he was dealing with that guy? I forgot his name, but the son was having sex with the father's stepmom, and he said it wasn't even found amongst the heathens. Right? That one?
Well, they were worshiping Diana and doing some nefarious things at that temple. And so he was preaching against it.
Yeah.
So there's been men and women of God throughout all of time, trying to warn people about this. This is such a dangerous sin in our lives. But yeah, he was pleading with them. Royalty even. I mean, the world's antiquity royalty went to this Hollywood place in Rome, and now we've got a mirror image of it in Hollywood, and only very few peculiar people are awake to it.
No, absolutely. Yeah. I'm probably on the wrong verse, but there is a verse, I believe it was Paul, and he was talking about one of these guys. He was saved too, actually. He got saved after, but I believe he was having sex with his stepmom. And Paul told them, this is not even found amongst the heathens. Meaning, what are you doing? Not even the people of Sodom are doing this with the heathens, whatever they are, the reprobates. And, with that being said, like I said, we're kind of getting there, but we're not there yet. And that's what scares me, is that people don't believe it's going to get that bad. And I have a podcast that I made. Before I did this podcast, I had like a little kind of like a pilot version, and I did it in a room with like a little room setup. And about 6 years ago, I made an episode saying one day, no, not 6 years ago, it was like 8 years ago, I made an episode saying that one day there's going to be a group of people that want to make pedophilia legal. And people thought I was crazy. Oh man, you're dumb. You don't know what you're talking about. That will never happen. Let's fast forward to 2023. We have North American Boys Association, whatever it's called. That's a real thing. And it's been around since the 50s. And they are pushing right now that pedophilia is not a crime. It's a sexual preference. Like, this is where we're at now. And people that don't know, this has already happened in the past. I believe the Greeks practice pedophilia. I believe before their fall, when they're at the height, most nations turn to liberalism before they fall. And at the height of the Greeks, there was, I believe it was legal for a socialite to take in an orphan boy and trade, a roof over their head, food, money, and a job for sexual relations. And it was no big deal, because to them, they were so brainwashed. Oh, it's better than him being on the street and starving. So, and we're kind of almost there, I think. I mean, the way things are being pushed, I would say we're almost there.
I think it's modernized, repackaged. And I thank you guys for bringing that scripture up about Paul. And I mean, it's prominent. He speaks against a sexual perversion a lot. And so does our master Messiah, Yeshua. In Acts 19, and I pulled it up, and I wanted to reference it here so you guys know where I was coming from. It says, so that not only this our craft is in danger to be set at naught. And this is Paul talking to those at Ephesus. He says, but also that the temple of the great goddess Diana should be despised, and her magnificence should be destroyed, whom all Asia and the world worship. And here it comes. And this is the masses. This was the masses' response to him. And when they heard these sayings, they were filled with wrath, cried out, saying, great is Diana of Ephesus. And we've got a whole society today carrying around these black little scrying screens of ours, pulling up stuff they ought not be pulling up, because this addiction is unlike any other addiction. It is a dopamine, absolute dopamine train.
It's a dopamine hit. You get the dopamine
run you
hit
over and destroy you.
Yep.
No.
Big time.
So that's another thing too, really quick, just for the audience, everybody who's out there, and people that are new to this. There's two kind of people who look at this. There's one group of people that I call moral people, but they're not good people. No one's good, as the Bible says. Moral people, I call them. They don't bother no one. They don't hurt no one. They keep to themselves. They mind their own business, but it doesn't change the fact that they're watching porn on their own. Mm-hmm. They're doing whatever they want, smoking weed, whatever they want to do, but they're doing it in their own confinement. Those people are still sinning. And there's also the other group of people, reprobates, and they do everything underneath the sun, and they don't care, and they involve everyone else in their life, and they try to impose it on people. There's two different kinds of people, and there's also the third person, who are people who are Christians, who know this is bad, and if they do fall, they know it's a mistake, and they repent. So there's also that group of people, but a lot of people out here, a lot of people that I argue with about this, that say that, porn and masturbating is just, it's what all guys do. And I put them in that category of moral people, where they do it on their own, but they don't force on anybody, but they keep to themselves, but they don't understand they're still sinning. Mm-hmm. It's like, let's say someone's addicted to cocaine. You're doing, I'm only doing it at my house by myself. Well, you're still hurting yourself. You're still sinning. It's the same thing. I always told people, because I'm a victim of this. When I was in my early 20s and teens, I was addicted to it. And the people that I talked to today who asked me, what do I do? How do I get out of it? And the one thing I say is that, let's just say one day you go outside, right? And you're in a neighborhood. Would you go to your neighbor's house, walk over to the yard? There's a window right there, right? And you can look through the window and you see your neighbor, man and a woman, having sex. Are you going to sit there, look through the window, and masturbate and watch? And most of the time, thank God, they say, no, never do that. Well, why would you do it looking at a phone? It's the same thing. You should be ashamed of yourself. It's, it's the same thing. You shouldn't be looking at your neighbor, and you shouldn't be looking at your phone.
We, and Dominic, because both of us have been around a little while, recently in the news, we saw one of the churches host the LGBTQ crazies at their church. I think it was the nunnery people, right? I don't remember a time like this ever.
Are you speaking of Dodger Stadium?
It's not Dodger Stadium. Now it's at a church. I think I read it this morning. It was probably, I think, of Brett Bart or something like that.
Oh, okay.
Where they were all sitting in the church, and they had the guy up front, supposedly out of seminary school, with the rainbow flag. And now we are here. We are literally here, and they know the secrets of dopamine.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. You guys talk about, you've had guests on, we talk about ancient mystery sciences, ancient mystery, secret societies, and them carrying these secrets over millennia, passing it on to generation and slowly letting it out. Now, what we're seeing on this side of it is they've known the science behind dopamine for a very, very, very long time.
Yeah.
You look at Egyptian hieroglyphs, you look at Greek hieroglyphs, they've passed this knowledge on. And now, because of the onslaught of social media, dopamine, and you've studied psychology, Dominic, dopamine kicks are dangerous.
Yeah, you
to
get the
flesh.
dopamine hit.
And Satan knows this.
Yeah, it's a big high.
Oh yeah, every time you whatever you guys, whatever these people are doing, masturbating 1, 2 times, 3 times, daytime, nighttime, whatever, they're getting a dopamine hit. It's no different than any other drug. Well, let me finish. Look, it's no different than any other drug. And this is why the pornography world is a big rabbit hole. For example, if someone gets addicted to painkillers, right? They have a surgery, they're addicted to painkillers. They start off on 5 milligram painkillers, right? Norcos. And then, it's not doing much to me now. Now I ask my doctor for 10 milligrams. Okay, they don't have anything after 10. I'm getting used to it. I need Oxycontin now. And now I need morphine. And then the doctor says, no, one day, hey, you're on a sick one. No more for you. You're cut off. Well, then they turn to heroin. It's no different than porn. You start off watching what you like, what you're into, and then you get bored because the mind gets bored. This is the human condition. We get bored. Humans are taskmasters, whether you believe it or not, whether it's a positive thing or a bad thing. Let's say you fill your day up with playing video games, working. You're doing a task. We're taskmasters. We want to get tasks done, and we get bored of the same thing. So when it comes to porn, it's the same thing. You get the dopamine hit, and this woman that I like to look at and masturbate to is no longer fun no more. I want to look at something new, and pictures are not good enough. Now I want video. Video's not good. Now I want to go call a prostitute, whatever the case is. And then maybe you even change the whole gender that you like. It's the same thing. You get lost in this world of perversion. And like I said, Satan's a great perverter. They say he's a great counterfeiter, but I like to call him the great perverter because he perverts everything that was meant to be good. And sexual sin is one of the biggest sins in the Bible. It's one of the it will get you thrown in the lake of fire. So,
I also know that he also knows our biology. He also knows the chemistry and the buttons to push to get us high off our own dopamine. If you guys don't know, and maybe Dominic can elaborate, it's a neurotransmitter that is part of our pleasure center. And the more dopamine that's kicking in, the more the flesh enjoys that uncleanliness. And it's the war that goes on in our minds. I mean, Scripture talks about the war going on in our mind all the time, but dopamine is one of those things I personally believe has been known about throughout the antiquities, through these mystery sciences, and nowadays because of the onslaught of social media. And you guys doing a lot of research and throwing this research out there, the truthers, it's come to light that it's no secret that's what they're pinpointing.
Yeah.
Every time.
Yeah, it is a dopamine. It is a neurotransmitter. It's in the hypothalamus.
It's the same dopamine hit that you get from, like I said, heroin, drugs, whatever it is. It hits you the same way, just like sugar.
Yep.
Well, let's put it this way. Let's look at all the points where Satan wants you to be at. He wants you sitting on your butt, eating a bunch of junk food, which is another dopamine hit. Sugar, obesity America's the biggest overweight country in the world. We're addicted to sugar. So he's hitting us with the dopamine with the food. He's hitting us with the pornography, and you don't even have to watch porn no more. I mean, look at the TV shows. I can't even watch a TV show today without seeing 2 guys making out or 5 girls making out with one dude, whatever the case is. It's always disgusting, and they're putting it in the movies, in the PG-13 movies. And let me tell you something. PG-13 is probably worse than rated R. Let me tell you why. Because they try to sneak as much as they can in the PG-13 without, setting the alarm off. Like what's that show called? Anyways, there's a lot of shows. Even the cartoons now. All the cartoons are all perverted. they're, oh, don't call me her, or don't call me they, them. My pronouns are this and that. There's the new Transformer cartoon on Netflix, and of all things Transformers, right? Mm-hmm. They have this whole pronoun thing in there now, and this just came out like in the beginning of the year. I saw the little clip the other day, and it was like some girl was talking to the Transformer, and Transformer, I'm pretty sure that's a allegory to them as a transvestite. And the Transformer, the girl said, "Oh, I hope you're okay. I hope you're okay. You're a tough guy." And then the Transformer said back, "Oh, I'm sorry. We're not humans. Our pronouns are they, them."
Yeah.
What does that mean? What do you mean they, them? And the first thing that I think about is in the Bible when Jesus were casting out the demons, and the demons identified as they, them, us. Have you ever thought about that? I thought about that right away.
Yeah, with the legions. This pornography, the tie-in between Hollywood and the crazy elite there goes back. Of course, we could talk about Mockingbird, where the CIA and secret or powerful organizations infiltrated Hollywood. So now that we think we're getting, works of art, when all of a sudden the works of art are being okayed by this secret society or this government agency, so that these dopamine kicks are in mass related. We got Hollywood people being MK Ultra'd. They're cannibalism, pedophilia, like you mentioned, child trafficking, human trafficking, blood sacrifice, and even death. These celebrities are wanting their stars. They want to be celebrities, and they'll do anything to push the narrative of a satanic agenda forward. And they don't care anymore.
Hello? I think we got disconnected.
Is enacted in us. And if we're not aware of it, it's good to be aware of it so that we can counter it, so that we can be biblically minded, put the word of God in our hearts to withstand it. If we think, Dominic, that we're strong enough, our ego is strong enough to handle it, we're going to fail every time, male or female. Only two genders.
Exactly. Well, if you look at Hollywood, you look at personalities like Marina, is it Abramovic? I believe it is. She has this whole thing where they have like a ceremony, and there's like a body there of a person, and they're reenacting like eating it and cannibalizing it.
Like talking about the cake.
You have people like Lady Gaga there, pictures with her, Willem Dafoe, James Franco, and people.
They were the meat.
Yeah, you can look this up on the internet yourself for pictures of celebrities with this woman. And this goes deep. This goes into...
Those are called cooking, was spirit cooking. They call it spirit cooking.
Yeah, she does that too, spirit cooking. And that's the breast milk of a woman and the sperm of a man.
And also, it's the menstrual blood of a woman, the sperm of a man, and some other gross stuff, and they drink this stuff. This is
it's really
pure.
Dark.
It's
really dark.
What's that called again? Back the days of Moses, Baal. This is Baal worship. This is the same thing repackaged. Moloch worship, drinking the same stuff. They do it at the Bohemian Grove. I mean, I get so passionate about it, but literally there's nothing new under the sun. I mean, it's literally the Bible verse. It's just repackaged. As Aleister Crowley said, and I'm quoting, as I would say, coming out of the horse's ass, the mouth. Aleister Crowley said, one of the most modern Satan influences in America, he said himself, quote, "We call them angels and demons today. Tomorrow we call them something else." What are we calling them now? Aliens.
The elder race.
Nephilim, the elder race, the New Agers, spirit guides, whatever. It's literally the person who sided with Satan is telling you what's happening, and people don't get it. Because one thing with Satanism is they believe in karmic retribution, which basically means that they believe if they don't tell you the truth or if they trick you, they're going to get bad karma. So they show you everything they're going to do right in front of you. For example, let's just say I'm at the grocery store and I'm selling watermelons, right? But the watermelons have poison in them. And if I put a sign up and it says, here are watermelons, 99 cents, and people buy them, I murdered you if you die. But if I put the watermelons up and I put the sign, these are poison, and you eat it, you committed suicide. So that's why in the movies, they make all these movies like the Terminator, showing the AI taking over, all these weather movies. They're showing you what they're doing. They're showing you the next step because they have to do it. It's part of Satanism, Luciferianism. It's called karmic retribution. They believe if they show you what's happening, it's not their fault. So,
this, early America wasn't like this. Let's go to the early 1900s, right?
Right.
You get around, the time of Aleister Crowley, you get around the 1920s and 30s, then you have the making of what they call blue movies. And that was code for porn. And when you flash forward that, and then you get into the 60s where it was, free love, right? It's free sex, right? The hippie era. And that ignited it more. And then I don't know if you remember, John, but when Obama was president, he had the White House in a rainbow color.
Yep.
Remember that? So that was another flashpoint.
Well, again, thinking back, guys, and I'm going to tell my age here. I remember glimpse of Ford, and then every president afterwards, from Reagan and the Iran-Contras and Oliver North's issues, trying to get money through drugs in prison. I forgot the guy's name that was selling it. He went down and Oliver North got lifted up, but it was for drugs for some guerrilla warfare he was going. But the drugs, pornography, child trafficking, all of that was taking place, and it was patriotic, right? Mm-hmm. And we remember the hearings that Oliver North went through Ronald Reagan. Then you get Bush, who I believe was part of the conspiracy of killing JFK. And he's part of the CIA coup. Of course, the CIA, his son gets in. Then we get to Bill Clinton. And then we see the lightning of the homosexual, the sodomite community in the United States. Bush, 9/11, everything goes up and under, turns upside down, economy, everything. Yep. And then everybody was being labeled a terrorist. Mm-hmm. And now we got to the white supremacist on this aspect. And we've got a president of the United States who absolutely lifts up this satanic sect of America that believes and follows their flesh in sin. Yep. Not calling them bad people. I'm just saying everybody sins, and this one little button that Satan's been using since ancient times, this dopamine kick that causes pleasure in our pleasure center, we have a culture that wants more. It's a monster. It is. When you look at it that way, things are just they're advancing more. You see now in public schools, you see them teaching kids this gender dysphoria now, and it's causing cognitive dissonance within the family and within the kids themselves. And in some states, they're giving the kids without parental consent, the opportunity to say, I'm a he or she or they or them now. And it's gone beyond the pale now. So, I mean, and then you look at pornography and you look at masturbation and secular psychology, it's not considered an addiction under there's no classification in the DSM-5. You see what's wrong with that picture? Mm-hmm. They say, well, if it makes you feel good, it just depends on what your beliefs are. That's what secular psychology says. And that's another issue, because if someone's having, really bad sexual, porn addiction and masturbation, there is something wrong there, and it's spiritual, but the secular world psychology just doesn't get it. Right. Like, oh, it makes you feel good, okay, well, that's fine, but if you believe in God, it's probably wrong, right?
No, absolutely. And another thing I want to point out is that for men, it's mostly common for men to get very addicted to this. And I'm probably going to go off on a little, sideways thing here, but what I've realized is that with pornography being so available, it definitely appeals to the men. Okay, because men are the more sexually active gender, right? And then you have social media, which to me relates more to women. Women want to be chaste. They want to be, complemented, and it's changed the whole game. So you have porn destroying the mind of a man, destroying, what it is to have a relationship, what sex is about, etc. And then you have social media, which is making these women think that they're just a god, they're goddesses, and everyone wants me because of this picture and I have all this likes. So, you look at these two things and it's perfect. It's a perfect plan. But, with that being said, the pornography is more for the men, but I think it's abnormal that more women are getting addicted to it, because it's not normal to me for a woman to be attracted to this, because women are usually not the ones who are more sexual in nature. It's men. Men are always been the ones who are, chasing tail, as they say. So I think it's gotten so bad where the women are being addicted to it. And then I look on the news and you see all these teachers, and some of these teachers are very good looking women, and they're having sex with these little kids. Why? What's going on up here?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There has to be some kind of spiritual, demonic nature that's influencing them, because it's not normal, at least in my opinion, it's not normal for women to behave this way.
Mm-hmm.
So
I agree with that wholeheartedly. When you look at today's world, we know in the Bible that it's supposed to be, one man is made for one woman, and that's it. So when they get into pornography and they get into multiple relationships, that builds what they call soulish ties, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And when you add pornography to that, and you get into a relationship, you start having flashbacks of these other relationships you had in the past, and you start fantasizing or start thinking about that person again. That disrupts the relationship relation with the woman. If you're a man, if you're a woman, the man, it disturbs that.
Yeah,
and that's basically when they watch pornography or when they have multiple sexual partners, what happens here, especially with pornography, it causes a trauma. And that's how Satan gets to people. This has caused trauma. And when you cause trauma in the human mind, you can't unsee what you see. So you're watching pornography, you can't unsee it. It's going to be burned into your mind.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I want to tell people out there, be careful, don't do this, don't watch it. Like Lionel was saying, on social media, it's all soft porn. Mm-hmm. I can open up Instagram right now on the search bar, and 99% of it's naked women, just about naked women.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you can't search anything on IG, nothing.
It's like, what's going on here? Are they, see what it is? It's they're looking to fill this void in them, this big black hole in their chest that they just can't fill because they're not complete. So looking for attention, they're looking for someone to complete that circle, but you never can fill that. A person's got to learn how to become whole without anyone before you enter a relationship. And that's a misnomer. People say, well, this person completes me. Okay, right there, it's not going to work. Because if you're going in half a person and you need another half person to complete you, it's probably not going to work out. And that's called in psychology to learn how to be with yourself and learn how to be comfortable being alone. It's called self-actualization. In the Bible, it's called being born again and being at rest with Christ. Mm-hmm. And look at me. I've been single, John, for about 7 years now.
There you go. I'm
7 years now. I'm telling people right now, 7 years I haven't dated. It's not because I can't. I mean, I get opportunities once in a while. But once I look into it, where they're coming from, it's not something that I want. I don't have time for this worldly people. I just don't. I'm not being judgmental. It's just not my walk.
No, I agree. I'm in a new relationship right now, and I want to make it. I want to do it the right way. I'm trying my best to make it right. I don't want to be part of any of this world stuff. I want to try to do it the right way. I want to pretend I'm dating this woman, and I never saw any TV show ever. I want to put myself in that mindset and try to see how things go without that outside influence. So I definitely agree with that. And, God willing, I hope it works out. But, that's just something that I wanted to throw out there. But everything you said, is very true. The whole thing with, this is just my experience. People that I know is that men and women who just go out and they call it sport. They call it a sport. And, literally the the slang word would be sport effing, the full word. And those people that do that, basically they go out and they try to just sleep with as many people as they can. I notice that those people, no offense to anybody out there, they're very psychologically messed up.
Uh-huh.
They're very they're very impulsive. They drink a lot, or they're on a lot of drugs, and all they want to do is party, and you can't have a normal conversation with them. Everything's about sex, blah, blah, blah. To me, the way I see it is that I saw a study a while ago, and I believe it was Vicky Joy that also like pushed it towards me to think about. And she told me that there was a study where when a man ejaculates in a woman, when he finishes inside of her, it's a scientific fact that they're finding out that every man that ejaculates inside of a woman, they take a piece of their DNA and it stores in their brain forever.
Soulish ties.
Right? So it even got to the point where, let's just say some guy marries some woman and she had 50 partners, right? And they all finished inside her. It's possible for that kid, if she gets pregnant, it's 100% possible for that kid to take a piece of the DNA of those other men.
Epigenetics.
Yes, and take a little bit of their personality. So when I get back to my point where these people have a lot of partners, they're a little wacky. I think they're taking a piece of everyone's personality.
Yeah. It's called, what that's called?
Like multiple personality stuff.
Yeah, it's called splitting, fracturing of the mind, and that happens a lot in satanic cults when they get these women involved. They start them off with abuse and drugs, and they get them desensitized to the point where they become, they don't feel it anymore. They don't feel the abuse, sexual abuse, and they become breeders, to have abortions, to sacrifice the kids to Satan. Mm-hmm. And this is a lot of satanic cults in Hollywood. We get satanic cults in the high desert out in the desert, and I think around Ridgecrest.
Most of them are in Joshua Tree too. A lot in Joshua Tree.
Yeah, there's a lot of Hollywood people come up here to do that. They have what they call death cults, right? So that's another thing to look at, is how people are put through trauma, and how Satan works through trauma. Yeah. And that could be with pornography, as simple as that, but we go into drugs, and it furthers itself. And Hollywood, and for the most part, even the music industry, I know a popular musician that I even liked his music until I saw what he did. The guy, The Weeknd.
Oh yeah,
and he flashed that thing Satan on his video, and it's like, yeah, that's wild, man. And there's so many other people, like Christian Bale a few years ago when he got the Golden Globe. He says, "Thank you, Satan."
Oh, wow. I remember that. Wow. Yeah.
So there's so much, but see, you got to remember though, in this country, there's a freedom of religion.
Yep.
And that's one thing that's why we're here, to warn people that, Hollywood is not, it's not what they think it is. Especially the music industry is really bad.
I worked in Hollywood for a while, over 2 years. And this was back in like 2000. When was this, Dad, when we lived in LA? 2006, 2007, maybe? No.
Yeah, I was
more, right? 2009. Yeah. Anyways, when I was out there, I witnessed a lot of perverted stuff that people were doing on set. And right now, one that catches my mind is Russell Brand. Russell Brand, the English actor.
Yeah.
So right now, he's under fire right now for all this sexual allegations. And let me tell you what I witnessed. Okay, and I don't care what anybody thinks. I'm telling you what happened. So I was on the movie set for Get Him to the Greek. It's a movie he was starring. It's called Get Him to the Greek. It was him, Jonah Hill, P. Diddy was in it, and P. Diddy's another pervert too. So, they were doing the scene in the movie where he's doing a concert at the Greek Theater in LA, and that's the whole point of the movie, is him getting to the concert at the Greek Theater. That's why it's called Get Him to the Greek. So we're filming the scene, and there's in the front row of the stadium, they filled the whole stadium with extras, but in the front row, they had featured extras. And I put the quotes because these people don't have a line. They're just more focused on the camera and the scene, so they get paid a little more, right? So back when I was doing it, you have 2 vouchers, right? When you go on a movie set, you either have a blue voucher, which means you're non-union, which is you're basically getting paid minimum wage, or your SAG, which is a gold paper, which is yellow, and you're getting paid like $30 an hour. This is back in 2006. So $30 an hour back then was a lot of money. So everybody wanted to be SAG, right? So you can only become a SAG member if you get called to be in a movie on 3 SAG scenes, and that's just up to them if they want to make it SAG or not. So you have to get these vouchers 3 times to be part of the union. You ever heard of it's called a Screen Actors Guild? That's what SAG means, Screen Actors Guild. So that's how you get in there, and you get paid more, you get more jobs, whatever. So anyways, there's a bunch of women in the front row that were featured extras, and after they were filming, they called for lunch. And I remember seeing Russell Brand. He's pointing at the girls. Yeah, this is that. The girls in the front row. He's pointing at the girls, and I can't hear what he's saying, but I can see his gestures. He's going like this, like, come over here. And one of the securities goes down there, and he brings up 3 girls up to the stage, right? And these girls were like, let's just say they're very revealing themselves. You know, little shirt, you know, big old boobs hanging out, the whole 9 yards, right? They're there to probably get what's about to happen. So they get taken off the set, and at this point, all actors go to the trailer. So they're going to his trailer, right? And mind you, these women had blue vouchers, right? Blue vouchers when this happened.
Blue.
When we come back from lunch, he comes back with those 3 women, and all of a sudden they have gold vouchers in their hands. What do you think happened? Do I need to say it? I don't need to say it. But obviously, something perverted happened that they were willing to do to sell their morality for an extra $20 for the hour.
Yeah. And this
is where the morality's at. Yeah.
I was on a set of Shop Girl with Steve Martin and I think it was Claire Danes and Jason Schwartzman. And there's some young girls that want to be in the scene, right? And I was watching these ADs just BSing them, man. Started, making out with them, touching them, holding them, grabbing them everywhere. Or you're going to be in the movie, you're going to be in the scene, and they're just fondling them, right? And when the movie comes out, they're not even in the shot. Stuff like that happens in Hollywood. And when I was on the set with Almost Famous with Jason Lee, I don't know if you know that girl. I don't care. I mean, I'll say her name. From Witchcraft. Her name is Fairuza Balk.
The Craft.
Yeah, the Craft. I don't know if you saw that movie. She was screaming and yelling at me. She wanted me to go back to her trailer. She kept calling me because my hair was really long, back then. It was like, over 20 years ago. And I got this bad feeling like, you know what? I'm not going with this woman. She looks crazy, man. But there's a lot of stuff that, so if I would have did that, where would that have gotten me?
Right.
A lot of money, probably.
Yeah, a lot of money and probably a role.
Well, I will say this, that the book of Proverbs from chapter 3 to chapter 8 says everything, stay away from these women.
Yeah.
But what you gentlemen are talking about is what they talk about in Hollywood is casting couch, where these young actors, female or male, homosexual or heterosexual relations with people of power, powerful figures, so that they get their parts or they get more lines, or they sell themselves into soul ties that we just talked about just a second ago. Right. And I just want to reiterate, all 3 of us know this, and so do you guys at home. 1 John 3:4 says, transgression of God's law is sin. And anything that is sinful is satanic in nature. And this right now, because of the nature of this sin, sexual gratuitous, Satan knows the buttons to push. He knows the chemicals that get our juices going. Lionel and Dominic mentioned about the dopamine kick. Once you reach a certain level, they call it in, I think, psychology, maybe Dominic can help me, neuroplastic changes of the brain, where the circuitry of the brain is rewired where that pleasure center is, and you need more. More. These people get more bold as far as taking children off the streets, to the part where they're going into schools half naked, masturbating in front of our families in malls. It's crazy.
It is. I just read today in our local paper online here in Palm Springs, they're going to have a drag queen story hour at the library.
And they've been doing that. It's sick.
I mean,
man.
Palm Springs is
sick. No, Palm Springs is literally Sodom and Gomorrah. It's really bad. It's
really bad there, along with San Francisco.
I would say Palm Springs is worse for the simple fact that it's concentrated in this little 1 mile radius. Like literally, John, and Palm Springs is a very small city, but literally I say 90% of the population is homosexual. Like literally 90% of the population is homosexuals. And it's not like, how do I say this without making anybody mad? Well, if you get mad, it doesn't really matter because it's just the truth. There's homosexuals that I know that are very conservative, I would say. Basically what I mean is that they're homosexuals, but they don't go out and yell, scream in the middle of the room, oh, I'm gay and I like men, blah, 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 this and that. If you're if you don't date men, you're a homophobic, blah, all this sick stuff, right? There's men that are conservative. They're homosexuals. There's men that I know that are my clients and homosexuals. You wouldn't even know they're homosexual unless they told you, because they don't care about yelling on top of the world and talking about it. But there's also the ones, and I used to work in Palm Springs. There's the ones that are like in their 60s and 70s, and they're dressed like little high school kids and girls. Like, to me, you have something mentally going on where you're in your 70s and you're dressing with a pink Britney Spears shirt on and Daisy Dukes. Like, dude, you're 70 years old. Like, even if you were straight, you shouldn't be dressing like that. Like, what's going on with you? So my point is that in Palm Springs, 90% of them are the ones wearing the Britney Spears shirt and Daisy Dukes, and they're 70 years old.
Yeah, it's really sick.
It's really weird. And I see them sometimes. There'll be like these guys with these chains on their necks. So, you put a chain on a gay, you put a padlock, like one of those from Home Depot, and they have it on their neck. And I'm like, why the heck are they wearing that? Like, is this just like a cheap necklace? Because it costs like $20 to buy that. But I end up finding out that what that signifies is that you are a sex slave.
Yep.
And the more locks you have on your neck, that's how many men that own you. Like, this is how sick. And these men that are wearing this, John, are literally at the youngest 50 years old and at the oldest 80. I used to work at a gym where most of it was homosexuals, and there was grown men, John, in their 50, 60, 70, some even 80, dressing with Daisy Dukes, little T-shirts, their nipples pierced, with the padlocks on. And I'm just like, even if you were straight, like, what's going on? Like, why are you behaving this way? It's really weird to me.
Well, it's almost like in the United States, and I can only speak to the United States. I've been to Australia, but very brief time. But here, because I live here, it just seems to me that the hand of God is being removed from the United States, and the prevalence of sin is covering us like a wave. The habit forming that we see is being used or instituted like the fallen angels did before the flood, or those at Sodom and Gomorrah. It is becoming rampant and out of control. Mm-hmm. And what gets me is this is a battle every human being, and I'm speaking to you guys out there, every man every day has to battle this some way, some fashion, or some form, because of, like Lionel said, like Dominic said, of social media and having these things on us all the time. And if we're not grounded in the Word of God, walking with Christ Jesus, there is no other healer from this type of sickness.
True.
None. The habit formation that we see, now we have entire TikToks and social media platforms that cater to the dopamine kicks that we see. Satan is on top of his game in the United States, and it's already reached the highest of our leadership at the White House, and it's just taken over. And so what we saw happen to the Israelites when they did all of this crazy stuff, the Assyrians came and took them away. In America, we are not safe here. As long as we're giving in to our flesh, and it looks like we have a society and a culture that normalizes it. Like you just said, Lionel, people walking down the street with this, wearing this foolish garb, trying to be another gender, which they cannot be, ever.
And let me just add to that. So as you're saying that, you're saying it's getting worse and the perversion's coming. It goes back to what I was saying. A drug addict starts with pills and then he's doing heroin. Someone who's watching porn, for example, is a straight guy. And then he gets to the point, which would be heroin for him, where he just likes anything under the sun. Could be a man, could be a woman, could be two women, could be three men, whatever the case is. And then it gets to the point where, well, this is where we're at now, I think. I think by the year 2030, it's going to get to the point where, well, you know, we've already perverted, you know, a regular relationship and we're sleeping with men, multiple men, multiple women, men and women in the same room. Now, what's next? As I was saying, the children. Let's make the children a normal thing. That's why, I don't know if you've ever seen this before, but the LBGTQ, there's some that go LBGTQ with a question mark. The question mark is the next letter for the pedophilia. I don't know if you knew that, but that's what's coming next. The LBGTQ, the question mark is going to be the pedophilia. Whatever, I don't know what they call themselves, kid lovers. I don't know what it is. The North American Boys Association, something like that. But that's next. It's the same thing. These people that are perverted up at the top are perverting people to get to the point where it's no longer satisfying me to be with men or women. I need to have kids now. I need to have little children and animals. And they're coming out with the AI stuff, the virtual reality. They've been doing it in Japan where you can go to these brothels and they're VR porn places. You put a VR on and there's a machine, and I'm just telling you what it is. You can look this up. I'm not trying to, again, this is like a rated R podcast, but these machines, you put it on your lap and you're watching this woman that you fantasize about, that you make up in your head, and it creates it for you. And there's a machine that makes you ejaculate while you're doing this. This is how sick this is. It's not even, it's getting to the point where we're not even going to be talking about, we're going to be talking about people marrying AI, virtual reality characters, and falling in love with AI. And with AI, you can make whatever you want. However sick your mind is, you can make whatever creature that you want to marry and sleep with. This is where we're at right now.
Well, I don't want to take away from the conversation. I'm going to ask you guys a little back end stuff. When one of you are talking, the other one has to turn their mic off, or we're getting a double echo in the chat room, being notified. So I don't want to take away from what you just said.
How about now? Still doing it?
No, I don't think so. Nope, it stopped.
Okay.
So just when you just turn your mic on. But to your point, Lionel, Cully McLachlan, I guess you guys remember the 90s actor, the kid from all those movies. Corey Feldman was coming out talking about being trafficked and passed around Hollyweird, these things. And now we've got 70-year-olds acting crazy. This has been going on for a while. And now we've got, even the CDC, and who likes the CDC or the FDA or any of these agencies? But we've got a medical industry that calls this a mental disorder, yet the federal government funds it. PBS, Sesame Street, Disney, Paramount, all these streaming industries, as you gentlemen have pointed out, propagate this stuff up, this soft porn, as Dominic calls it. And it's true. That's a true statement, to absolutely get us separated from the love of Jesus Christ. And it's doing a great job. But the evidence is even worse with the Jeffrey Epstein stuff. Tom Hanks, Oprah Winfrey. We can go on and on and on and on. It's out in the open. But guess what, guys? The masses don't care. There's a few of us who are barking, like you, Lionel, like you, Dominic, myself, the guys on the Midnight Ride, and many other platforms are barking, yet we're being shadow banned when we talk about this stuff. We get deleted off YouTube when we talk about this stuff. This is a biblical issue. This is a relationship with the Creator, and Satan is all about separating us, and he's done a fine job. But all this evidence is out there. Some of the stuff you guys brought up, I've not heard, and I wrote it down. I'm going to be looking up. But at the same time,
like what? Just really quick, I'm curious. What did you see that you hadn't heard before?
Well, going into your experience on the movie sets, that's pretty detailed. From the both, I didn't expect both of you to give me, Dominic, as a surprise. It's like, What are you guys doing on movie sets anyway?
I blame my dad for getting me into it. So I'll tell you my dad, you know, before we had love for Christ, and the reason why I'm kind of off camera is because it's not echoing when I'm like this, but really quick here. Thank you, Lily. My sister's bringing me some water. So my experience with Hollywood is that my dad at one point, and I wanted to too before I got close to Christ, where I wanted to be an actor. I wanted to be famous. I wanted to be on TV just because I enjoyed movies and I wanted to, you know, enjoy it. It was nothing to do with wanting to defy God. I just, you know, wanted to be an actor. So my dad actually got better roles than me. He got flown out to be on Pirates of the Caribbean. I never got that much attention, but, anyways, my dad had moved to LA for like about 5 years or so. And when I finished high school, I moved out with him. And believe it or not, when I was 21 or 22, I'm sorry, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, I was probably doing it for that long. I was actually a good looking guy, believe it or not. You know what I mean? So people always told me that, you know, you should be in the movies. So I was like, well, then I guess I should then. After 20 people tell me that in LA, you should be in the movies. You have a good look. So I took pictures. I sent it out to, you know, all the agents, and, you know, lo and behold, I got calls every single day to audition. And sometimes I didn't even have to get a call. They wanted to hire me just off my picture. So I got a lot of jobs. I was probably on like over 20 different shows and 50 different movies. I can't even remember all of them. But one that you can look at that I'm in that I remember is called Keeping Up with the Joneses with David Duchovny and Demi Moore, I believe. At the end of the movie, they're showing that movie's basically about like a bunch of secret agents, and they're all, you know, trying to keep up with the best, nicest stuff in the neighborhood. But at the end of the movie, David Duchovny was like a spy for the CIA, and it's showing him with like fake families. It's like a portrait, and one of the families is me, the family from Mexico. You know what I mean? So that's one where you can definitely see me like right there. But anyways, that's why I got into it. And besides the one where that I told you about, I have another one that I told a lot of people before, and they don't believe me today, but I believe it. And if you know Hollywood like how we know it, John, and like my father, how we know what the roots are, it's very believable. So I was on the show called Bones, and I forgot what season it was, but it was a season finale episode where they had, I believe it was AC/DC or Van Halen at the end of the episode. It was like and the show was a dream, and the actor was like at a concert. It was AC/DC. I think it was Van Halen, actually. It was Van Halen. And, anyways, I was on that show for about a month and a half. Like, I was a regular on the show, quote unquote, meaning that I was a bartender in one of the scenes. So the last episode had a lot of shots at the bar. So they needed, because I'm the bartender, you can't have a different bartender every shot, right? So they needed me to be there for that whole time. So I was working a while on that show. And anyways, I got invited to the after party. I ended up getting in cool with the makeup guy and the hairdress lady, you know, because everyone that, like me, not everyone, but some of the actors that weren't the main actors had to get makeup or wardrobe because you're in a scene with the main actors. So you get paid a little more too when you do that. But anyways, I ended up getting close to the hairdresser and the makeup artist, and one was a man, one was a woman. And back then I was only like 18, 19, and I didn't know any better. Like I was always the person that was like giving the best benefit of the doubt. I always assumed everybody was just a nice person, right? Mm-hmm. And the hairdresser guy, mind you, he had long hair, like very long hair, straightened. He had like eye makeup on, but also dressed like a masculine guy. So I was like, maybe this guy just likes to wear makeup because he's a makeup artist and, he's not gay. He can't be gay, right? That's just my mindset. Mind you, this is 2006, 2007, where you didn't, like, things weren't happening how they are now, right? You just always had the benefit of the doubt. Oh, this guy's just a little weird, you know what I mean? Mm. So he invited me to the after party along with the ladies. Oh yeah, come to the party. It's going to be fun, blah, blah, okay. So we go to this party up in Hollywood Hills and all the actors are there and a bunch of other actors that are very famous that are there. And I walk into the house and I go straight to the backyard 'Cause that's where the big party's at, where all the bars are at, the free drinks, whatever they paid the people to be there to have food in the bar. So the first thing I was like, I'm going to get a drink. So I'm going to get a drink. It was a big pool, like a big rectangle pool. And if you're standing at the backyard and you're looking, towards the pool, it's the view is the whole city of LA. So imagine you're in the hills and you're standing at the back of the pool. You see the pool and then you see the big cliff, right? This is a beautiful scene, right? So it was a nice party. I've seen a bunch of famous people, and I turn around towards the left side of the pool, and there's a big statue, a giant black statue. And I look at it, and I didn't know what it was back then. Now I know what it is. It was a giant statue of Baphomet, the one with the peace sign like this. So I'm like, that's a very interesting statue. Looks kind of creepy.
Just right out in the open,
yeah,
right?
just right out in the open. And I'm just like, that's a very interesting statue. It's just art. Like I said, I was very naive. It's just art. It's just art. This guy's not gay, whatever. I was just very naive. So I'm like, that's a little weird, right? So I have a couple of drinks, and I'm walking around, the backyard where the pool's at, a lot of people. So then I see a bunch of actors there, right? I saw Robert Downey Jr., saw Jack Black there, a couple.
Was that at his time when he was heavy on drugs? Robert Downey Jr. Was that back at that time?
No.
When he came out of it?
He had already filmed Iron Man 1 already at this point, because I was in Iron Man 2, and this happened right like a little bit around Iron Man 2. So, anyways, I was there and I'm looking around. It's a cool party, and then I go inside just to walk around, and there's another bar set up inside, and the guy serving the drinks was wearing like a pink fishnet with his nipples hanging out, and I was like, that's very interesting. I was like, it's really weird. So then I walk, this house is huge, John, and they have poles, like stripper poles in there. So when I got there, no one wasn't dancing on them. So I didn't notice them until people were dancing on them. I was like, oh, that's what those are for, right? So then I look at the poles, and there's two guys about my age dancing butt naked. And I'm like, what the hell is going on here? I'm like, I'm going to go back outside, right? So I'm already having like this anxiety attack. Man, this is weird, So I go outside, and I kid you not, and I said this probably a million times already to people and a couple times on my podcast, but the least person you would expect, I expect the one actor, but not the other one. I saw Vin Diesel and Kid Rock making out like it was just the tastiest saliva they ever tasted. It was disgusting. And I was like, is that it? I was like, all of a sudden I had that like feeling, when you're in a place where it's bad, you get that dark, like I need to get out of here. Like, when the elevator opens and you see someone there, you don't want to go in the elevator because that person's making you feel weird. That's how I felt when I saw that. I was like, oh my God, this is weird. So then I walked back in the house, right? This is the crazy thing. Right before I left, I saw something else. So I'm walking to the back. There's a huge hallway to get to the front door. And there's at least in this hallway, about 4 rooms, right? The hallway is huge. And there's these big double doors. Right when I'm about to pass the double doors, one opens like this. And I'm like, okay, my bad. And I see one guy walk out, second guy walk out, third guy walk out. And they're literally, as they walk out, it's like so obvious. I feel like they're doing this on purpose even. They were all fixing their pants. Like, when you go to the restroom, you fix your pants, but they were all doing it together as they walked out. And the fourth person to walk out of the room was Lindsay Lohan. And she was fixing her dress. And do I need to say what happened? She basically got trained on. And I couldn't believe it. I was like, I need to get out of here. So I left. I took off, didn't say bye to nobody, didn't say bye to the director, the producer, the makeup. I was like, I just left. And thank God that was the last episode, because it was the last shot of the season. So that was the last, that's why the party happened. So I didn't have to deal with these people anymore. The hairdresser or the makeup artist ended up texting me, and I didn't write him back. I was like, I'm good. But yeah, that's just, I have other ones too, but that one was pretty weird. That was probably the worst one.
I can believe it about Kid Rock. I mean, you witnessed that, but if you look at these celebrities, and they're weird. Most of them are weird. Just recently, he came out and he shot a bunch of Bud Light up with an AR. I don't know if you guys remember that video. It just was just a few short months ago.
He got mad because of
Bud Light.
LBG, the transgender guy, right?
Yeah, because of the transgender guy. And he did it and he got all kinds of views. I mean, he got views into the millions, these celebrities do. But at his bar, he's still selling the Bud Light, right? He's wanting people to boycott it. So he goes on, he gets all the views, he shoots it up. But at his bar, he's still selling it. What a hypocrite. And they most of them are. I'm not calling all of them. Only God knows these people's hearts. But when it comes to just the sick, perverted things, I believe you. And what we know now, because of the onslaught of social media, we have come to find out how crazy these people are, because now it's out in the open. We see them on Twitter, we see them on Instagram, and they're telling us their whole story, and we're finding out just how MK Ultra these people really are, morbidly crazy because of what they've put themselves through.
Yes, everything you're saying is, it's not only are you right, it's even worse than what you think. And when you said, I don't think all the actors are like that. Well, let me just tell you this. Let me just give you some food for thought, John. Okay. You know about the Avengers movies, right? The Avengers. Yeah. Okay. The cast is A-list, right? You got Robert Downey Jr., you got Scarlett Johansson, Chris Hemsworth, all these top dog celebrities, right? Chris Pratt, supposedly he's a Christian. You have all these celebrities, right? And let me tell you something. You cannot be a superstar like that on a movie. And I'm telling you from experience, not experience. I'm obviously not a superstar, but I'm telling you what I witnessed and what I know. And what has been coming out on the media just confirms it, right? You cannot be Iron Man. Sorry, like camera's over here because the mic, but you cannot be Iron Man. You cannot be Thor or the Hulk on a huge platform like that and not do the ritual to do it. Like, for example,
I agree with
you can't just be like, oh, okay, I want to play the Hulk, but can I skip all the homosexual rituals and all the sacrifices? No, of course not. You can't just skip it. Everybody has to do it. Even the so-called Christian Chris Pratt. Everybody has to do it. So what I'm saying is that when you say you don't think all of them are, well, maybe some of them are doing it and they don't want to do it. Everybody has their issues. They're like, everyone's been through where you're doing something you don't want to do and you still do it anyways, but you're wrong. I do believe there's people that are like that, but at the same time, they are doing stuff that they shouldn't be doing because, like I said, you cannot be Iron Man. You cannot play Superman or Batman without going to the ritual.
No, I agree with you. And hanging around John and David and all the research they've done on Hollywood and these celebrities, I agree. I just don't, as far as the world goes, I let God judge those people. And when it comes to somebody like that, I pray that they have a road to Damascus event in their lives. That's all I can hope for. But when it comes to the ritualistic, Luciferian, Illuminati, mind control, casting couch, the pedo rings, they have to do this in order to get their star, their Emmy. I don't know if you guys saw this, but and because you know Hollywood pretty good, I was watching the Los Angeles show that John and David did a while back on Hollywood, the National Academy, I think he was saying, of Television Arts and Scientists. If you take the acronym of that, NATAS, it spells Satan. So it makes complete sense, Lionel, that these people absolutely have to do this in order to get their star.
It is 100% required. Now, let me tell you another thing that I noticed, too, in Hollywood when I was there. Even though my dad had the better roles and got paid more than me, I did more stuff. Like, I was working there for years. Like, it was my everyday job. Like, if I wanted to, I could have worked 7 days a week. That's how many calls I would get to be on TV shows or whatever you want to call it. But one of the things that I noticed was, I'm sorry, I'm putting the camera away because it's echoing when it's close or something. But anyways, one of the things that I noticed is that if you are, it's not just about doing homosexual stuff. It's about them making you do things that you are not comfortable with. So, for example, let's just say some guy is a homosexual, right? This is just his preference before he even becomes an actor. And he does a couple roles and he's getting to the point where he wants to get a bigger role. And, there's that level you have to take to get to the next step. Well, they're not going to make him have sex with another guy because it's easy. he's already a homosexual. They're going to make him do something that he's uncomfortable with. Like have sex with a woman. Maybe to him, a woman is like death or an animal or God knows what, but it's not just homosexuality. Homosexuality is a big thing. It's because most men that are in Hollywood are not homosexual. So they make you do stuff that you wouldn't do so they can control you and fracture your mind. This is the whole point. That's why they do it. It's not just about, oh, I want you to just be gay. No. Oh, like they get to know you first. Okay, this guy, okay, let's use me, for example, Lionel. Okay, Lionel's been around in Hollywood for a couple of years now. Okay, he's a very masculine guy. He's very straight, blah, blah, blah. So they're not going to make me sleep with a woman to get a role because that would be easy work. They're going to make me do something that I would never do. Mm-hmm. They get to know you first, and then they present to you what you have to do. That's the like whole point. It's control. Yeah, it's all control. Everything's control. And I'll get into another story really quick. So I was on this pilot. It was called Miami Trauma, right? And it was filmed by Jerry Bruckheimer. And I have two stories about this set. So the first one that I'll give you is that Jerry Bruckheimer is a very mean person. He's a very rude, nasty person. Anybody who's worked with him will agree with me. So, mind you, when I was about 19, 20, I was a hothead, right? I thought I could beat everybody up. I was just I was just young and dumb, right? So, anyways, that was the attitude I had. Not that I went around bullying anybody. It's just if someone were to provoke me, this is my reaction. So, I remember filming on Miami Trauma, and we were there for like 16 hours filming. Everybody was tired, right? So Jerry Bruckheimer calls, he class, blah, blah, blah. He's out, martini shot. And a martini shot in Hollywood means the last shot of the night, meaning after we get a good take, that's it. Everybody goes home. So everybody was like, oh, thank God, the last shot of the night. And I happened to be in that scene. So it's me, the main actor in the scene. That's it. It's just me and him. And in the show, I work in the hospital as a janitor, right? And in the scene, I had a scene where I had to say a couple words to the main actor. But in this scene, it was just the actor talking, and I was just in the background mopping. So no one warned me what the scene was. I just assumed it was the one where I have my lines, right? No one told me nothing, right? Jerry Bruckheimer or his assistant just said, hey, get over here. It's, you and the actors, it's your turn to finish the shot, martini shot. It's up to you guys so we can go home. I was like, cool, I want to go home, so let's go. So I'm doing the shot, right? Doing the scene. And in this scene, like I said, they didn't tell me it's the actor and me, right? But in the other angle of this scene, there's another actor talking to the main actor. But in this angle, you're not seeing the actor. It's just like a front shot of the main actor. So Jerry Bruckheimer is feeding him the lines so he could respond to the camera, looking at the camera. You get what I'm saying? So it's like, so we have two shots, and in this shot, they're doing the shot from another angle where it's just the camera looking at him. So in order for the actor to get the lines right, Jerry Bruckheimer's feeding the lines so he can get a good reaction to get it right, right? So when Jerry Bruckheimer goes, he's feeding the lines, feeding the lines to the actor, I thought he was talking to me because no one told me. I thought this was my scene. Right. And then, so I'm responding to him, and I go, what? What did you say? And he keeps talking, like he shakes his head like he keeps saying the lines. And I said, I can't hear you. And he just blows up. He's just cursing. Damn it, mother effer. What the F are you doing on my set? You're wasting time. You're not supposed to be talking. And I just, for like, it probably took about 10 seconds. I was just sitting there, like getting nervous and feeling embarrassed, but also getting mad how he was talking to me.
I wonder where you hadn't popped him yet.
Oh man, I got so mad, right? So I walked up to him and I said, I'm so sorry, man. I was like, I didn't know that you weren't talking to me. No one told me anything. And before I can even finish, told me everything. He talked over me again. You're a dumb idiot, mother effer. You're messing up my scene. And I just snapped, John. I said, you know what, dude? Don't you ever talk to me like that again. I said other words, but I'm just going to say it the nice way. So I said, don't you ever talk to me like that again. I was like, you don't know me. I was like, you're talking to me right now like I'm a little kid. I may look like a little kid, but dude, if I wanted to, I could just put you in a pretzel right now. I said, don't you ever talk to me like that again. I said, you have no idea who I am. If you talk to me like that again, we're going to have a lot of problems. That's the nice way. I said so many other things, but long story short, and everybody was like, oh my God, he's talking to him that way. I don't care who this guy is. I don't care who you are. You respect me, I respect you. So his eyes got big. So I'm sorry. Jerry Bruckheimer's a little guy. And he's, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that, blah, blah, blah. So after I said that to him, we did the shot. He was being nice to me. And then we all had radios, right? We all had radios that we all listened to. So the people that were next to shoot, we had radios. So when they call us, we all go. And I heard him on the radio. I don't think he knew. And he started talking on the radio. Who the F think that kid think he is talking to me that way? And I heard it and I got mad again. So I went back to the thing and I caught him walking into his car and I confronted him again. And I basically told him, dude, I don't even want to say this on the show because I feel like, I changed my ways, but I basically said I was going to whip his butt in a very mean way. And after that, he respected me after that. Like, he was very nice to me and respected me because we had to go back again one more time actually to redo some scenes.
Did you actually get a chance to tell him why you spoke?
No, yeah, I told him. I told him in the beginning.
Any room to explain?
No, I literally said, dude, I thought you were reading the lines of me. You didn't tell me anything. And then before I can even finish, he said, you dumb mother. That's when I walked up to him. Right up to the camera, because the cameras were here, the actor was here, and I was behind him. I walked past the actor and went right up to him. It was him and two of the guys and an assistant, and I just went right up to him, and I told him, don't know what you're talking about. And he talked over me again, and that's when I snapped on him. And then everything was cool, and then I heard him on the radio when we were done talking smack about me again, and I walked right up to him to his car. There was no security with them or anything. Like, if I wanted to, I could have done whatever I want to him, but thank God I didn't, because he probably would have put me in prison for the rest of my life, because that guy has a lot of money and power, believe it or not. But
well, it sounds like he had a Napoleon complex.
Oh, he's a little guy. He's a little guy. He got to be about, and this is back, like, this is over 10 years ago. So back then, he got to have been about 50 years old, 50 something years old, and about 140 pounds soaking wet with Timberlands on. He's a little guy.
Knowing Euro's background, and I thank you guys for sharing your experiences there, because it gives us some insight. But what do you guys think about this SAG, union strike from the writers and actors now?
Really quick, I'll just tell you that they're a bunch of, in my opinion, they're way overpaid, and they're complaining about a bunch of nonsense. Because, they're crying because they're making $1 million, $10 million a year. Now they're only making $5 million. But that's just my opinion. Anyways,
I think just like the day players on SAG, I think they want, obviously they want more. I think they make maybe $200 a day. I think. Mm-hmm. I haven't been to SAG in many years, but what they're worried about, the main actors, the A-listers, because see, when they do movies, they sign a waiver that they can use their likeness. Mm-hmm. So if this goes sideways, then Hollywood can use make AI imagery of them, or use their voices, their likeness.
Yeah.
And I think that this whole thing is just garbage. This whole AI thing is eventually, because I know people are still in this space, and I flat out tell them, you know what, this is acting, writing, wardrobe, makeup, all this stuff. Eventually, the future is going to go away. It's all going to be AI. It's going to be virtual reality. Like Lionel was talking about, sex with AI. I see it as in the future is movies are going to engulf you into the movie itself, into the scene. Mm-hmm. You're going to be a part of the movie now. And that's going to be the ultimate experience.
Well, go ahead.
No, you go ahead, John.
You're going to sense all these, feelings that you want to experience. If it's a sex scene or something, you're going to, I see that happening. I see in the future, people are going to be engulfed into an AI movie.
It's already happening. It's already happening already. I mean, like right now, they have websites, porn websites where you make your
hologram around you.
You know what I'm saying? They already paved the way already years ago, where you can make your own character on this website, and you can make her how she wants, and you can have any sex scene with this CGI character, and people watch this. And the next step is just putting yourself in the VR. That's just it. It's already here. They're already doing it in other countries. They're doing it in Japan. Well, I don't know I know Japan for sure is doing it. because they're, you know, Japan has always been a very open sexual place. Like they don't, you know, they're very sexualized culture. But yeah, everything that I've experienced in Hollywood has been exactly everything that's been coming out. And no one believes me 10 years ago when this stuff started coming out. Oh, maybe you're not lying. Why would I lie? How would I, out of all the actors I pick Vin Diesel and Kid Rock. No, this is what I saw. I mean, it was disgusting. And Lindsay Lohan, I mean, are you surprised? So I have one more. When I was on the same set, I have two stories, like I said, two stories on Miami Trauma. So again, it was by one of the assistants. And this was before I went to the party in the hills. Okay, so this was before that. So I was a little more like, oh yeah, you know, they're inviting me, they want me to be famous, you know, whatever. So, you know, I was naive. So anyways, they invite me to this club, John, called the Roxbury, like the movie Night at the Roxbury, the same one. Right? You ever seen Night at the Roxbury with the Will Ferrell?
Yeah.
So yeah, it was that place. It's a real. I didn't know it was a real place. They said, "Oh, we're gonna go to the Roxbury. You want to come? You know, we're gonna get in VIP. We just put you on the list." I'm like the movie? I'm like, yeah, like the movie. I was like, oh, sure.
How old are you at this time?
I was like 19, but I got in. I got in because on the list. Like I always got in. I always got in, and I wasn't the only one underage. Mostly women were there that were underage, but. So I got into the club at 19. No one ever ID'd me. And by the way, I had a full beard when I was 19. So I kind of look the same right now, but so, so anyways, I went, I go to the Roxbury, right? And I'm all excited. I'm like in my head, I'm meeting these, you know, these high level people. They're inviting me because they want me to be in a big movie. Like I'm just so like naive. I'm just so lost in my journey to be, you know, famous, all this nonsense, right? So I go to the Roxbury, I walk, it's a huge line. And I'm like, man, I better be on the list. So I walk to the front, you know, I'm all nervous and paranoid because I'm skipping everybody just to talk to the big old buff security guy. And I'm like, hey, I think I'm on the list. And I didn't even think I was going to get in because I just didn't believe it. Because first of all, I was 19. And number two, the line's huge. And this list thing just didn't make sense to me. Because I lived in the valley where I'm at now my whole life. And this kind of stuff doesn't exist out here. You know, big lines, the VIP. And that stuff doesn't exist. It's unheard of to me. So I didn't think it was going to be a real thing. And when the security guard said, oh, yeah, you're on the list, like I got this jolt of energy, euphoria. I was happy. Like, oh, man, I'm on the list. Like I'm doing big things, right? You know, that's how dumb I was. So I walk into the club and it must have been gay night or something. Because when I walk in, I see the bartenders, right? And the way the club is set up, it's like, one level and a big staircase, another level, big staircase, another level, and then a big staircase and the dance floor. But every level is big and it has another dance floor. It's like 3 dance floors on a staircase, right? And then the main floor. So I'm walking and I see the bartenders, right? And the bartenders are just super, super flamboyant. Their shirts are off. They have their, the nipples pierced and their hair is green. And they just look, they're gay pretty much, right? Like, just not my scene. I'm like, huh. I'm like, this is weird. I was like, this. I'm ahead. This is LA though. These guys are straight. Probably this is just how LA guys are. So I walk down to the next level, and there's a bunch of bar stools, and I kid you not, I see these 2 people arm wrestling. There's a whole group like, oh, go, like cheering them on. And I look in, and there's this huge guy with a wig on, blonde wig, buff, wearing a dress. Just smashes this dude in arm wrestling, and it just kind of shocked me. I was like, what the heck is going on in here? So I'm like, I'm going to go find the people. So I'm texting, oh, we're at the VIP table on the dance floor. So I go to the dance floor. I see the table, and the person that invited me was the only person that looked normal. Everybody else was just completely dressed like how I told you earlier. Like some of them were wearing like teddy bear costumes, little crop top shirts with their gut hanging out, 60, 70 years old. And
this was early 2000s, right?
Yeah, early 2000s, right? This was, so
cosplay started coming around.
Yeah.
I don't know if that has anything to do with it.
No, it does. Absolutely. They call them furries. The people like to dress up like stuffed animals. They call them furries. So there's a couple of furries there. And I sat down and I felt so uncomfortable. I had like 1 or 2 drinks and I said, I'm going to go to the restroom. I just left. I never texted the person back, blocked them. It was like a one-time one-time invitation because the person that invited me was just I think was an assistant. Yeah, I think she was an assistant. No, he was. Sorry, it was a he. He was an assistant, and assistant is basically someone that just whatever the director wants to give me water, give me this, and they just get the little golf cart and they come back. So they have like new assistants like every week. So that person was only there for like a week, but once I saw what was going on, I just blocked him. I never want to talk to him again because I knew the next week he wasn't going to be there anymore. But
talk about the Holy Spirit.
That's
getting
twice.
You the heck out of there.
But that's twice though. So the second time though, sorry, I told you earlier, where the party with Vin Diesel and Kid Rock, in my head I was like, that was just a one-time thing. This is not going to be like that. And this second one I told you earlier was like just confirmed that all this stuff is weird, satanic, and literally everybody's gay in Hollywood at some kind of level. Yep. It blew my mind. I was like, is there anybody straight around here?
And that is how the public at large, everybody going east from California and all these streaming industries and all these black skyward mirrors, it's just streaming right into our minds and our eyes and our ears. And like Dominic said earlier, you just can't get that out. And we all three agree the only thing that will save us, the only thing that can heal us from these dopamine wounds is Jesus Christ.
Absolutely. Exactly. There was one actor that I felt like saw through me. Like through my soul.
Travolta?
That was John Travolta. He looked
that guy is definitely creepy.
Yeah, he stared right at me, and I was a believer in Christ, but I wasn't as much as I am now. Mm-hmm. But I felt that emptiness in me, like that saying that your heart drops to your stomach. When he looked at me, I'm like, it was so eerie. It was really creepy.
Well, he's a creepy looking guy, first of all. Yeah,
that was on the set Be Cool. That was a shot in front of the Viper Room in LA.
So you guys having some experience in and out of Hollywood on films, on sets, and seeing what you guys have seen, I can see from both of you and the Sabbath at Midnight podcast that you guys have turned your backs on it completely.
Yeah.
Repented of it.
Yeah, John, I was getting to the point where producers and directors getting to know me. I was going to be a bartender in a movie called Down in the Valley with Ed Norton, face to face.
Wow. Okay.
I was that close. I was that close in Pirates of the Caribbean, and Jerry Bruckheimer. He's a character, man. But
Napoleon.
Yeah. So for me, things I just lost interest in it, just like I lost interest in rock and roll and heavy metal. It's just something that it just goes away.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's not only that. It's once you find out that you have to do stuff that's against every thing in your cellular structure, it's an easy no. At least for me, it is. I mean, there's people out there that are willing to put themselves on the line like that. Not me. It's easy. Like, look at, you can make money like that doing other things. You don't have to do that, But again,
go ahead. You mentioned something earlier. Everybody in Hollywood has to do some kind of ritual, some kind of something satanic to get ahead. It's almost like Freemasonry. The thing about that is, when you guys were around it, did looking back on it now, do you know they knew exactly what they were doing? Or was there somebody around you that was innocent and now being drugged into it, and you saw them being marred in this sexual perversion, this MK Ultra?
Yes, Dad, you can go first. I know the ones you're going to tell, and I'll tell mine.
Well, yeah, I mean, I point out that one film, Shop Girl, Jason Schwartzman. You see these girls being turned, into using their bodies as a gain, for them to get into a movie, to become famous, and that's part of the aspect of the trauma, So who knows who knows what happened after that scene was over with, right? Mm-hmm. So who knows how much more these girls had to do? I don't know. I wasn't there. But that's just not only in movies, but even in music. You get young girls and young boys, they want to become famous, and they're used as sexual objects. Eventually, if they want to make it, they have to do it. Women get used a lot in the music industry for sex. and they get nothing. It's like you mentioned that what's that? You said the casting couch. Or
Casting
something?
couch.
Yeah, they call it casting couch, I think.
What's his name? Steen?
That's what they do.
What's that guy's name? The guy that did it? Big guy? The one that got in trouble for it? Weinstein?
Just went to jail. Oprah Winfrey's friend.
Weinstein.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting. Weinstein, Jeffrey Epstein, Oprah Winfrey. I mean, it's, but these people are, how shall I say it? The only, Epstein got murdered in his cell. But child trafficking, when you look at some of the videos or pictures that are coming out, you see some of these young people that were with him on the island now just gratuitously homosexual TikTok users, makeup everywhere. I mean, not makeup, but tattoos everywhere. We're starting to see the data come out.
Oh, the Island Boys? The Island Boys are.
Yes, sir. That's, yeah.
Oh, did you see, John, that they made a video like a month ago where they were making out with each other? Brothers, like tongue kissing. Disgusting, man.
And you guys, both of you saw firsthand what they were starting to go through. Lionel, you were running left and right trying to get out of these places. And Dominic, I mean,
I was older. I was probably in my 30s. I already knew what was up. I said, this stuff's not going to fly with me.
Right.
I mean, I met
not enough money in the world.
Met people like, I met people like Johnny Depp, Kevin Costner, different actors, it's dialogue. But that's the stuff that I seen. It wasn't going to happen. Like Fairuza Balk and that one movie set, Almost Famous. It was weird, and that wasn't going to fly with me. So I was older. But if I had been 18 or 19, you being of a young mind, not wanting to, you wanted to be famous, like all these people flocking to Hollywood. They want to be rock stars. They want to be pop stars. They want to be movie stars. They want to be movie gods. They're that young. They're hyped up on that dopamine. They want to get that higher, and they're willing to do stuff like this. And that's unfortunate. And they get caught up into this trauma-based scenario where sex is used, drugs is used, and it keeps furthering itself. And then, before they know it, they're 50 and 60 years old, and they're living under a bridge.
Right. Praise God you guys got out of that. Hey, I want to do a left turn. I know we're like 10 minutes before the top of the hour.
Hey,
but
as long as you want to do
AI.
it. Oh, go ahead.
AI?
I'm going to bring back AI because you guys, touched on it a little bit. We know about the 2030 to 2023 agenda. We know that Prince Charles is now King Charles. His second in command is Charles Schwab. And, of course, their mad scientist is Noel Hari. Noel Hari is an infamous sodomite himself, but he's also into the transhumanism. And you were talking about the Japanese. You're talking about virtual reality. They literally are doing that now. They're literally now having biological reactions to sexual contact with AI. And we are living in strange times. Now we got the royal family, who is ahead of the World Economic Forum. Seriously, they're the head of it. Part of the secret organizations, the Freemasons in England. Now you've got a son set up in Hollywood, the redheaded son with Merkel, right? Like an ambassador. Have you guys given that any thought? The royal bloodlines being into the Hollywood, into the pedophile rings, into the sacrifice of these pagan gods that they worship?
Absolutely. Yeah. Dominic, go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's plausible because when you start tying them to Freemasonry, you have places like Bohemian Grove.
Oh yeah.
And you have the royal bloodline secret societies go back to the Cross of Lorraine, the Nephilim bloodline.
Right.
And it furthers itself along up until now. You got the redheaded race, which is this King Charles guy and his kids, the offspring, and as we know, I believe he takes his bloodline back to is it Vlad the Impaler?
He takes it actually. If you look at the genealogies and listening to John and David, especially John's research on King Charles, he claims. The royal bloodline claims to have lineage to David.
I was about to say
and
that,
even
David.
to Yeshua.
Rex Dios.
So,
bloodline.
John, I was lipping that to you, David, right before you said it. But when I heard that I heard it from NIEC TV, and I believe it's 100% possible. But how could that be? Like, why would they, knowing they have the blood lineage of such a powerful bloodline and go that direction. It doesn't make any sense. Like, because these people believe in heaven and hell. They believe in God and Satan. They believe in all this stuff. That's why they know more than us, you know. So, but why would you choose to go that route, especially knowing that you're related to David and knowing that Jesus died and rose?
Well, you know, I think they believe that they're a lineage of David, but that goes back to the Gnostic. Mary Magdalene married Jesus and they had kids.
Mm-hmm.
That's where that goes to.
They have some weird beliefs, but at the same time, I've listened to John talk with two guys actually, Scott Harrell and Tim Cohen, and they were talking about if he is the Antichrist, and John. In John's defense and Scott's, you know, they disagreed with the guest, but it was iron sharpening iron. It wasn't on everything, but it was on some specifics of scripture. And it was good to see them disagree like men, like have a disagreement, but be cordial.
Yeah.
Right.
And I really haven't picked John's brain on his insight and years of research on the royal bloodlines. But what I was getting at was, we know from May this year, 17th and 18th, that the Bilderberg Group met in New York. King Charles was the head of it, and at the very top of the list was AI and tracking, AI technologies tracking. At the very bottom was the political climate of the United States, and it's like 10 points. But at the very top, they're pushing the AI. Right? That transhumanism, that transgenderism, that you are more than what the creator made you. And Hollywood has been about that for the last 50, 75 years. Now they have the technology to tap into it. And all this CGI stuff, all this AI stuff is now about permeating. And everything that you guys saw is accumulating into this narrow head to lock the masses into it and be brainwashed literally into Satanism. And what we're seeing is literally happening.
I agree.
Yes, I agree. I mean, you're just saying that all the movies nowadays are all every movie now that I watch, that's what, maybe the past 5 years, every movie, every TV show, there's always in the main character group, there's one straight guy, one straight girl, one gay guy, one lesbian, one black guy, one Mexican guy, like they try to make this false reality where every group of friends has that in their group. Not everybody in the group of friends has one of every race and one of every sexual preference. That's just not how it works. It's real. Maybe out here it's a little more normal. Not for me, but it's not normal most of the time to see straight men hang out with a bunch of transgenders and gay people. That's just not how it works.
It's not normal.
It's not normal. So, but on TV, they make it seem like it's normal. Oh, the main character, Johnny Tsunami, whatever you want to call him. Oh, his best friend is, Sal, and Sal is gay. And Sal has a lesbian friend and his lesbian friend's actually transgender. Like, that's not how reality is. It's just not how it works. And all the movies and TV shows I watch are pushing that, and on top of that, they're pushing the transhumanism, like everything. Like, for example, the superhero movies, that's all transhumanism. Iron Man. I don't know if you guys knew this, but Iron Man, less than 2 years ago, he was announced by Marvel. It's not a conspiracy. You can look this up. This is a real thing. He was announced to be the Antichrist. And so Iron Man is the Antichrist in the Marvel world. His let me see, the way they explained it was, let me look at really quick. Let me just get this really quick.
While you're looking at that, I think it was the first game for the LA Rams.
There you go.
Some guests there from the movie The Creator, transhumanism movie coming up.
So look at they just announced this, right? So Iron Man, okay, in the Avengers number 31, Stark encountered Mephisto. Mephisto is like the devil in the Marvel world, and we're talking about Stark, his dad. So Stark encountered Mephisto, the Marvel Comics equivalent of the devil himself, who revealed the Stark's father, Howard Stark, made a pact with them years ago. He promised Mephisto that once he had become the most intelligent human being on Earth, he would give him his first son. Shaken by this news, Stark then returned to the present day, where he told Mephisto to kiss my iron ass. Okay, that's what it says. Seemingly rejecting any claim the devil might have over him. So basically what I just read is that Howard Stark, he wanted to be the smartest man in the world, just like anything else, you're selling your soul. And the devil just manifested. He heard his prayer or heard his whatever you want to call it. And he said, okay, I'm a feast on the devil. I'll make you the most intelligent man in the world, but you have to, bear my child. So the next person you sleep with is somehow Mephisto is going to make that kid part his. So that's what he did. He had Tony Stark and made him the smartest man in the world. And then Tony Stark, and after his dad died, he's the smartest man in the world. And what's Tony Stark? He's the smartest man in the world. He's supposed to be the really good looking guy, and he's very charming, and he has all the AI. Sounds like what's happening right now. I believe the Antichrist is going to have all these features. He's going to have all the money. He's going to be charming. He's going to be good looking, and he's going to have all the power to control the world through AI, through computer, through the internet. That's the only way, in my opinion, that Lucifer, Satan, whatever you want to call him, could be omnipresent like God. He can't be like God, so he's going to use the technology to be like God. He's going to be omnipresent through the computers, through the cameras, through the microphones. And Tony Stark is that. That's crazy to me.
I find it awful interesting that, the Bilderberg Group meeting with these secret organizations, these very powerful BlackRock, all the way Vanguard, these secret organizations, all the way up to King Charles, that just before a queen died, the so-called queen of the time, Mary, whatever her name was, she died. Harry is planted in Hollywood with his wife, Meghan Markle, right? And they get into all kinds of spats and they get taken off platforms, and we get a dog and pony show with these two, but you got royalty planted right smack in the middle of it, right? Yeah. And at the very top of their list is AI, right? Transhumanism, all the way down to the American politics, the election coming up in 2024. That was their order of agenda. All you got to do is go to their website and see it. They list it up there for you to see. But it's interesting that AI and having the Hollywood tie with royal bloodlines and what you guys have presented tonight just makes a lot more sense to me, and how nefariously evil that sect of our population is. Very evil. Very, very. And getting back to what I think about virtual reality, I mean in the sense that I know it's happening now, but I mean in the sense that it's going to be something so easily, readily available, like getting a new TV. It'd be like it'd be like Star Trek, like a 3D. You'd be in a 3D hologram. Now, we started out with the big green fonts in school, with the big computers, and our phones were like huge walkie-talkies with the big antennas. Yeah. Now we got, like Lionel said, we got 4-year-olds working these devices and having all of this put in their faces. You guys are right.
You can do kids can do whatever they want on that phone to get their hands on it. Yeah. You could put all these little parental controls on it, but it really doesn't do nothing. You know why? Because you don't have to watch pornography to influence the kids. It's in the kids' shows. It's in the cartoons. Sesame Street has already has like 3 gay characters now that came out. It's everywhere. You cannot get away from it. It's impossible. And now they're teaching it in the schools. They're reading them storybooks that show them how to perform oral sex. This is a real thing. And it's happening in the liberal states, and people don't get it. Like the people who are in between, I call them in-betweeners, they're liberal, but they're also like conservative at the same time. They can't comprehend that, I don't let my child watch porn. That's okay. You still don't get it that they're teaching your kid in school. That's why your son and daughter's coming home in first grade saying, "I'm confused, Mom. My teacher said this and that." That's, you don't need to watch porn. The teacher's already doing it. They're already destroying their mind. And people don't get that. That's how it starts. It starts like that. Well, that's how it starts. This is how it's going to end. It started with the adults. Now they're starting with the kids. And once the kids get influenced, this whole generation is going to be wiped out.
Gone. Yep, gone.
Well, gentlemen, we have gone 2 hours. I want to give you guys a last say. Tell people where they can find you, where they can hear you, your websites, every social media platform. I want people plugged in to the Sabbath at Midnight podcast. So let them know, guys. And give a final word on what we talked about tonight, some defense mechanisms, some things that you guys learned along the way.
I'll go first. So my name is Lionel Tavares. I am the host at Sabbath at Midnight. And thank you, John, for having me on. They believe this is our third podcast. I very enjoy talking to you, but my message out there is to just, you got to pray and you have to put action into the prayer. Like David, when David fought Goliath, he didn't pray, and David didn't pray, and Goliath just died. He had to pray, and he had to pick up the rock and behead him. You got to put the action in. So if you're addicted to porn or whatever it is your addictions are, you need to put action. You can't just pray and then have easy access to this. You need to like delete the websites, get rid of your phone whenever the time is you like to do this stuff. Like you have to do actions to block yourself from this stuff. It's not just, I'm going to pray and then I'm just going to go about my daily life. You need to make changes in your life. And if you're embarrassed or you're feeling alone, you're not the only one. I've been through it, and I believe about 90% of men have watched porn at one point. So it's not normal, but it's becoming normal, and it shouldn't be normal. So my last word is stay close to Christ, and the closer you get to God and the more you read the book, the scriptures, it becomes very easy to not want this stuff. It's not like, it gets to the point where you're not forcing yourself. Oh, I want to watch this movie, but I'm not going to watch it because of God. No, you get to the point where you say, I don't want to watch that movie because it disgusts me. That's where you have to get. And only the scriptures can do that. So stay in the Bible, read your book. And that's the only way you're going to learn. Like that's why the book was given to us, so we could read it and get his morality, get his word, get, the whole thing. That's just it's me. And you can find us also on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and we're on Spotify and we're on Apple Music. Again, it's called The Sabbath at Midnight. Go ahead, Dominic, say what you gotta say.
Well, with pornography, it's running amok. It's and the subtleties on commercials, television commercials. You see them promoting pills for people who have HIV so they can have sex, so they won't contract it. You have various, cartoons, various, movies that are adding a lot of subtleties for even like PG that kids will see. And it's getting into their conscience that this is okay. That a man being with a man's okay, a woman being the woman's okay. That's fine. And you see that a lot in society, especially, out here where I'm at. And what I have to say about pornography is it can be very addictive. It is a dopamine high. It's like being a drug addict. The more you get it, the more you want it. And that leads you down different roads. That leads you to drugs, prostitution, and who knows, maybe end of life.
Well, let's just really quick before I'm sorry to butt in, but all the Charles Manson, for example, when they asked him what got you into this murder stuff, start watching porn. Jeffrey Dahmer, start watching porn.
So I would say for people that are aspiring to go to Hollywood, it's not what they make it out to be. Lionel lived it. I lived it. We've seen things. Look at, you mentioned Corey Haim and Corey Feldman. What happened to them? Yeah. The list goes on and on. You look at Rose McGowan, what she went through. And, so many of the people that are whistleblowing now, what's going on in Hollywood now, even child trafficking. So parents out there who have, teenagers that want to go to Hollywood, they want to aspire, you know what? You need to really, really rethink that, because it's not what it is. It's not all hunky dory. They're gonna turn your kids inside out, man. If you're not around, they will do it. Eventually, they'll get to them. And I'd say to people out there, keep your eyes on Christ. When you see stuff like this, block that stuff out, pray about it. When you see something that's wrong, and eventually these temptations will go away. Like me wanting to be an actor, I mean, I really wanted it, but I just lost interest. Like the Holy Spirit just took it away. Just like that, gone. No more SAG, no more nothing. And that's what it takes. It takes the power of God to take these things away. That includes everything we talked about tonight. And AI's, it's going to be the dominant force here, and it's getting there now, but it's going to be more so in the future. But thank you for having us on. And my Instagram is L_Leon323 on Instagram, and I run the Sabbath at Midnight podcast on Facebook.
Well, if you guys would stay back for just a second, I'm going to do a final word, and I want to talk to you guys after the show. Lionel, you got another word? I want people to hear everything you possibly can can help them and benefit their experiences or thoughts in thinking about these things.
No, absolutely. I was just gonna say, yeah, I want to talk to you afterward, but no, I have one more. Now that you said one more thing to say, one more thing is that, a lot of people always say these things like, "Oh, you're a Christian, you do that. You're a Christian and you're doing this." Well, you must have not read the Bible. It's those people that say stuff like that judge Christians on everything they do. You people need to remember that the epic men of the Bible were not perfect. Every single one of them had a problem with sin. Every single one. David, he has sex with that guy's wife, got her pregnant. Noah was apparently drinking too much. And on the list it goes. So you don't have to be a Christian doesn't mean you're going to be just like Jesus. You can try, and that's what we're called for, but it's never going to happen. So people who get discouraged because, oh, I'm not perfect like Jesus, you're not going to be perfect. But the difference is there's two different people. There's the people who sin and they think they're not sinning and they laugh at it and they do it again the next day with pleasure over and over. Then there's people who believe in God, who sin and they feel completely guilty or disgusting after the act and they never do it again and they repent. Those are two different people. Be the one who fears God. Be the one who feels guilty when you sin, because that's when you know you have the fear of God in your heart. And that right there is everything. And it is everything, because once you start sinning and it becomes a habit and you know it's bad, you're no longer sinning, you're transgressing. You are purposely doing something that you know that's wrong and you do it anyways. Don't be that person. Be the one who tries. Be the one who fears God. Be the one who feels guilty when you sin, because that's when you know you have Jesus in your heart, because you're not going to feel guilty for doing stuff if you don't believe in him. That's all I have to say. Sabbath at midnight. That's all I have to say. Good night.
Well, guys, stay right there. I want to talk to you after the show. I want to do a final word. So, guys at the Cutting Edge chat room, I want to thank you for joining us tonight for this very difficult, hard topic. And I want to thank the guys from the Sabbath at Midnight podcast coming on and we getting the benefit of their experiences, their research, and what they saw. And what I'm taking away from this whole interview is that these two gentlemen heard the Holy Spirit's word in their hearts and they ran, they fled. And God let them stumble and get through it. But like Lionel just said, this is a journey, and we have to train every single day in God's word, because we're at war every single day against the world. It wants to take us down. It wants to separate us from Jesus. And I'm thankful to have men like this to be able to come out, give their testimony, and give their insights on what they experienced to help you and to help me. I want to give a great big shout and thank you to sugarandspicesoapcompany.com for making programs like this possible. Also for the IUC TV network, which allows us to do these unfiltered talks. I'm looking forward to this Thursday. I got a special guest coming up at 11 Eastern Thursday, and we're going to be taking on the Royal Bloodlines. Again, guys, thank you so much for coming on tonight. And I appreciate benefiting from your guys' experience. Last words, and then we're one more. We'll all go.
Well, thank you for having us. Really appreciate it. To yourself and to your wife for letting you be up this late. And for John Pounders, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
John texted me back like at 1:30 in the morning my time. What's the guy doing up?
He's going every which direction all the time. Who knows?
No, it's not about you. You text me back early. Well, my time it was 1:30 in the morning. You're probably up at 4.
Me. You never. I'll text if I'm. Sometimes, guys, it depends on what the Holy Spirit is doing in my life and that night. And I'm usually up at reading the scriptures. We got something going on at the ministry all the time, and I don't think there's enough time to get everything in a day.
It's impossible.
I was going to ask, the living God, when we do see him, like, why not 25 hours, God?
Yeah,
you need that one extra hour.
Why not 8 days a week, 25/8? Why not? Why not?
All right, guys, we'll see you later on this week.